It's the eCommerce Master Plan podcast. Here to help you solve your marketing problems and grow your e-commerce business. Cutting through the hype to bring you inspiration and advice from the e-commerce sector and beyond. Here's your host, Chloe Thomas.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the eCommerce Master Plan podcast. I'm Chloe, the creator and host of this award-winning show, and it's my aim in every episode to help you find ways to improve your e-commerce business. This week, we've got a new sponsor on the show, Cloudways, who do website hosting. I actually moved all our websites to their hosting in January this year, and it was such an easy process. I did it all myself, and I didn't screw it up or get stressed. And even better than that, it had a ridiculously positive impact on the speed of the websites. So on the Google Speed Index, I got an average improvement of 22.5 points per website. That is phenomenal SEO impact for just a few hours work. So I wanted to let you guys know that as you're about to hear several of their adverts over the next couple of weeks. And really particularly relevant for those of you who are on WooCommerce, Magento, or do your own hosting, whatever platform you may be on. In today's episode, we are getting into the world of insurance. I know, not necessarily the most exciting topic you think of when you think about e-commerce, but we're going to be talking to someone whose business is really interesting because they're changing and making buying insurance products a lot easier for e-commerce businesses. But we're also going to get into the different types of insurance you should be considering if you're in an e-commerce business. So what they are, how they function, why you might think about getting them. So if insurance has been something that you've been trying to ignore because it all sounds a bit tedious, this is your kind of quick fix set of answers that you need to know what insurance you might need and to guide you through the world of what you might want to put in place for your business. Now, a couple of housekeeping points before we get into it. First off, this is not proper insurance advice. Neither Megan nor I are giving you advice on what you should do, and we thoroughly recommend you speak to an insurance professional before buying any insurance products. Secondly, we will be covering this from the UK perspective, so we're using UK terminology, but everything we're saying is as relevant to you wherever you are in the world, and very similar types of insurance will be available to you wherever you are. So yes, we're going to use the UK terminology, but you will find possibly with exactly the same names, you'll find all the same types of insurance wherever you are in the world because it's all the same stuff that you can insure. Possibly this little intro I've just done is more complicated than the episode itself, so things are about to get easier for you. Before we get into all of that though, please do check out the sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Clavio, the ultimate e-commerce marketing platform for brands of all kinds and sizes. Whether you're an entrepreneur just starting out or you're part of a marketing team at a multinational brand, Clavio will give you everything you need to create memorable marketing moments, building customer relationships that keep shoppers coming back time and time again. Get started with a free account today. Visit clavio.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan. Is your website slow? Has your online business outgrown your current hosting provider? If you answered yes to either of those questions, it's time to move over to Cloudways. Cloudways is a managed cloud hosting provider that is built for online businesses. From a hassle-free launch to smooth server operations, Cloudways is your partner in scaling your e-commerce business to greater success. Go to cloudways.com and use the promo code MASTERPLAN to sign up for a new Cloudways account and get a free $25 hosting credit. And now to introduce today's guest expert. Megan Bingham-Walker is the co-founder and CEO at Anansi, an e-commerce insurance specialist. Hello, Megan.
Hello, Chloe.
Thanks so much for coming on. I know we have never ever talked about insurance on the show, so I'm really interested to get into it. But before we get into insurance, how did you get involved in e-commerce?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I've only been in e-commerce for the last few years, really. partially, my introduction to e-commerce was actually as a founder myself. I had a sort of side project where I started a small project to sell stainless steel straws, when people were really worried about the environment, on, the Amazon marketplace. And I came across this issue of insurance, even when you're selling relatively low volumes of items, getting the right insurance in place for your business is really critical, because you don't want to make a mistake where, if you sell something that accidentally injures or, even kills someone, that you aren't properly covered. So that was really my first introduction to insurance.
Cool. And what led you? Because, I'm not going to reel off what's on your LinkedIn profile, but you've had a lot of jobs where you've been helping small businesses and businesses to grow. What's led you to found an insurance specialist business? Because that's quite it's not the most obvious place people go.
No, it's not at all. So, I guess my introduction to insurance came from some of the projects I was working in data science and in sort of machine learning. And, I came across the insurance industry because I was aware that they were looking to use data, particularly connected data and machine learning to, really bring, much more to reduce the friction around insurance and to really bring some of these products, which, typically you have, huge forms, still PDF forms, fax machines in some cases, and to bring them into the 21st century. So that was really my introduction to the insurance industry. And my co-founder, Anna, also comes from a sort of a fintech background. So together we could see, that within, as you already know, with banking applications and in other areas of fintech, there's a lot that is already being done to bring data to improve products. Whereas in insurance, you maybe see that it's a few years behind. So we wanted to be, really part of that revolution in insurance.
It's often the case with financial products that we see them get better for consumers before they get better for businesses. I've just gone through the process of applying for a new credit card for the business, and oh my God, it was so painful. I had to do face-to-face meetings and everything, whereas, you can apply for a consumer credit card quite quickly. So are you bringing that ease of insurance purchase that we have when we're going for our car insurance or our house insurance to the world of business? Is that the plan?
No, that's absolutely the plan. And you're exactly right. I guess the sort of what we've seen is improvements in fintech and banking applications, then improvements in consumer insurance products, and the poor business insurance products are still, in the dark ages. And especially for these small businesses, I guess the gap between, the experience you have, on the consumer side and as a small business, they shouldn't be so different really, because, these are still often relatively simple transactions. So it makes no sense that you can apply for a personal credit card and you can get it within 24 hours, and a business credit card, and you have to go through the process that you went through, that you just described.
Okay, so let's talk about what sort of insurance an e-commerce store should have, because I've been in e-commerce for almost 20 years now, and I honestly couldn't tell you what sort of insurance a store owner should be considering getting. I haven't got a clue what, other than like personal, the general business insurance and those things we all have to have, an employee safety and those kind of things. I have no idea what the specific insurance for an e-commerce business should be. So what sorts of insurance should an e-commerce business be considering?
So, obviously, I guess legally, the real insurance that you need is employer's liability insurance. So that's, I guess, the cornerstone. But as an e-commerce business, if you look at the range of risks that you face, I guess, the one that would be, possibly the highest liability for you as an e-commerce business owner would be product liability. So this is actually the one that I described earlier. If you were to sell something, and it could be anything, and then that product went on to injure someone, you could then actually be liable, for lawsuits, for personal injury claims, which can run into many millions of pounds. And, it really doesn't really matter what you're selling, because, accidents do happen with, almost any product, particularly if there are manufacturing flaws that you haven't, appreciated, or design flaws. So product liability is vital for anyone selling anything online.
So is that if we're the manufacturer, or is that also if we're just a distributor of that product? If we're buying someone else's product and selling it, do we still need that kind of insurance?
No, that's a really good point. You do still need that insurance. The difference will be that the rating of that product will be different depending on whether. So, for example, if you're private labeling a product, you are considered to be the manufacturer. So you really need to have the sort of the highest level of product liability insurance because your liability as a white label business is much higher. Whereas if you're just reselling a product, the liability would partially pass through to the manufacturer. So again, this is a detail which, when you fill in your insurance application, your broker would want to see sort of evidence of what the relationship is between you as a seller and your manufacturer.
Ah, interesting. So even if as a white label, we think that's all on the manufacturer, it really isn't, because we take on, from an insurer or from a legal standpoint, we're taking on some responsibility for the quality of the product.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't appreciate that. And you obviously don't want to have a really nasty surprise, when the worst comes to the worst sort of thing. You need to make sure that you are really aware of what your liabilities are and what your relationship is. And also that you have, cover for, who your manufacturers are, and you've chosen people that do have their own insurance. If you, then wanted to, take action against them, if there was to be a issue with the product that, is really out of your control.
It quite quickly gets quite complicated, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And because of the, potential sums involved, it's what's interesting is that insurance itself often isn't really very costly. This is something that, for the smallest businesses can be, 20, 30 pounds a month. But, if you aren't, if you're not covered with the right amount, then the liability is, many millions of pounds. So it's really a question of making sure you have, given the right information to your broker and you have the right cover so that, if things do happen, the point of insurance is really to protect you at that point.
Yeah, it's not a lot to pay for that peace of mind, is it? That if something happens, you're not suddenly going to be several million in the hole.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so I interrupted you. We got as far as product liability, and then I interrupted you. So what's next?
Okay, so what's next? So what's next would be, I guess, cyber liability. So, we're all running online businesses. We were just talking about GDPR, data breaches, stolen data. And, that, it's big business at the moment, especially with the increase in volumes that we've seen of online trading. So cyber liability policies really protect any business that's storing particularly sensitive customer data that could be, used and abused, as it were.
Okay, so cyber liability is kind of like any business online. That's not necessarily an e-commerce specific one, but it's one we need to be aware of.
Absolutely, yes. So yeah, any business with information that's stored online or liable to any form of cyber crimes.
Nice. And anything else?
So then you have, I guess, the issues around cargo and delivery. So and stock. So these are I guess are where you obviously have, as an online business, you're moving goods from the manufacturer to your warehouse or your third-party logistics firm, and then on to the consumer. So there's obviously always going to be risks every time stock is moved, and where it's stored, there may be issues of theft and that sort of thing. So making sure that your business is protected is something else that you can get cover for. And also your own equipment. So, you have your own computers, your phones, you may have your ring lights, your camera equipment, all of these things actually add up. And, if you do have accidents or breakages with any of those things, again, insurance can be there so that, it's not a major disaster when you drop your camera, when you want to record something.
Yes, we often think about the fact that now we've got everything in the cloud, it's quite easy to replace things. If your computer breaks, that's not the whole business lost because it's existing in the cloud somewhere. But of course, you do also have to pay to replace that computer, don't you?
Exactly. And then it's a cash flow issue. So again, the whole point of insurance is to really smooth you through, through these ups and downs. So, it's really about sort of sharing that risk rather than having to, because often we've spoken to many businesses and, I guess you can just absorb it, and often people do absorb some of the costs. I'm telling you about all of the potential suite of insurance products that that you could have for your business. And you may pick and choose, the ones that are most important for you at the particular stage of development that you are. But I mean, overall, the whole point of insurance is really to help you to smooth these ups and downs of your business.
Yes, and I think, it seems to me that you might go, well, we've only got 2 laptops and we can probably manage to cash flow our way through replacing 2 laptops and a mobile phone, maybe. But what we probably can't cash flow our way through, no matter how big the business is a big product liability claim. So I guess we've got to kind of take our own personal feelings around risk and reward into this as we decide which insurance we go for.
No, I think that's absolutely the case. And it will depend on your business and, your own circumstances. And it's interesting you talk about the escalation of risk because, as you say, you start off with the small things like, goods, you lose maybe 1 or 2% of your packages each month. And, for some businesses, that's something they can absorb. But then when you get to the point, it depends on, if you have a much higher cost of sale, there's a sort of inflection point where, for some businesses, really they don't want to lose a bike or two, every month. That does become quite, really, really quite costly for their business. So, it really just depends on the nature of your business. But talking about escalation, one thing that's been very interesting this year is around business interruption. So what we saw, with the coronavirus pandemic is, the real sort of disruption in the supply chain. And again, this is another area where insurance can potentially play a role where, for example, if, you have a loss of income over a period of time because you aren't able to access your stock, or if your e-commerce platform goes down, for example, if you're, somehow, suspended from the Amazon platform for, some unfair reason for a number of weeks, and you really lose a lot of, your income during that time, there is insurance that's potentially available, depending on your circumstances, to smooth you through those unexpected events. Similarly, I guess traditionally that would have been if you have a fire, and your business burns down. But obviously, online businesses, face different risks. The Amazon suspension is the equivalent of a fire, I guess, in this market.
Yes, but it's considerably more difficult to recover from in terms of working out the steps to go through, I think. Oh, look, there's been a fire. We need to buy new stock, build a new office, etc. Whereas an Amazon, not a fun place to be in either scenario. So we've got, I think, let me recap because I'm hoping I've written them all down. We've got product liability insurance, cyber liability. We've got equipment insurance. We've got business interruption, and then we've got cargo delivery and stock.
Yeah, and sort of own equipment. I've kind of grouped them sort of together. And then I guess the final one that I wanted to talk about is about payment fraud, because again, that's something that I think a lot of people have experienced maybe more in recent months, with the increasing volumes of trade online. And a lot of people have been coming to us talking about, an increase in chargebacks and credit card fraud and that sort of thing. And, there is potentially insurance, but there may be also tools that you can have within your business to, preempt some of those issues beforehand. So it may be a mixed. It's one of those sort of grey areas where is it an insurance issue or is it just more a kind of data and sort of business management type issue? But again, there are options there to support you.
I imagine with that one, the more options you've got within your business to prevent it, the cheaper the insurance therefore becomes.
And I think that's also the direction insurance is really moving, particularly as we have access to more data on business. So, in the past where you just filled in a long insurance form, every 5 years and, you paid the same amount for 5 years, that was a really different, situation to the one we're in now, where we have access to much more continuous transactional data on businesses. So I think the way insurance is moving is to become a more dynamic tool to really help you manage your business and also maybe even give you some information on what you can be doing to help to manage those risks. So it's not just a one-way thing where we're trying to sell insurance and, where you don't have risks. It's also, really empowering businesses to know how to manage their whole risk landscape in a more sophisticated way than perhaps we could have done in the past.
Which makes perfect sense, really, doesn't it? Because it's in both the retailer and the insurance company's interest to avoid the problem that we're insuring against happening.
Exactly.
Because for the retailer, even if we've got the insurance, there's the disruption and the frustration and the manpower it takes to fix whatever the problem is, and the fact our premiums will inevitably go up. But there's also, from the insurance company's policy, point of view, they'll have to pay out if something happens. So it does make sense that we should all be working together to try and improve these things.
I think that's absolutely the case. And also, I think, insurance has got a really bad rap with these premiums going up. And again, that's something with the data that we have available to, that really your premium should be going down if you are taking the actions, that would enable you to reduce your risk. So, I give an example with the goods in transit insurance that, that we've been working on. Obviously there's a difference in the likely risk of a loss or delay in your package, depending on which of the couriers you utilize for your, for your business. And I think over time, what we'll see is, the insurance incentivizing, business owners to really manage that. So, there's a balance between, what you would pay for that courier, sort of transit and what you pay for the insurance, and how that's sort of the crossover point to sort of incentivize, more of a fair distribution of the risk, for your business and for the consumer as well.
And then we can weigh up especially when it comes to delivery, we can then weigh up the cost of those enhanced tracked services, which of course give a better experience to the customer because they know more about when that parcel's going to be arriving. They can send it to a safe place or something. But also we can weigh that up against the reduction that gives us on our insurance. When you take those together, it might actually be overall more profitable to go for the higher value delivery option because it increases customer happiness, leads to fewer things, parcels being lost in the post, and reduces our insurance premium. So it's kind of a more all-encompassing way of looking at business.
Exactly. And that's really, I guess, what we're trying to bring with this product. We want to be the sort of partner on the insurance side, with a wider view of what the business is, rather than, just sort of taking a narrow, look at, the sort of traditional forms, as it were.
eCommerce Master Plan is supported by some of the greatest companies in the e-commerce sector. Here's a reminder of who they are.
Success in 2021 means building stronger relationships with your customers. Last year saw a lot of consumers switching to buy online, leading to surges in new customer acquisition. So how are you planning on turning your new first-time buyers into profitable repeat customers? Well, that's what Clavio is for. Clavio helps businesses create memorable marketing moments through email, SMS, and personalised website experiences. And that is what creates repeat purchases. That's why Clavio, the ultimate e-commerce marketing platform, is used by over 50,000 e-commerce brands around the world. Get started with your free account today. Visit clavio.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan. Cloudways, a managed cloud hosting provider that is all about simplicity and freedom. Cloudways supports all major e-commerce platforms, including WooCommerce and Magento. It offers performance-oriented features such as managed backups, free SSL certificates, Cloudways CDN, built-in caches, security, and 24/7 support. Go to cloudways.com and use the promo code MASTERPLAN to sign up for a new Cloudways account, and you'll get a free $25 hosting credit.
It's time for the top tips round.
Okay, Megan, we'll go back into the world of insurance shortly. But first off, we'll do that because I'm sure a lot of you are going, what's Megan's product? I want to know about Megan's product. It sounds good. But first of all, we're going to do the top tips because I love this section, as I know a lot of our listeners do, because it gives us all some really quick ideas for taking our businesses to the next level. So Megan, you ready for these?
I am ready, yes.
Excellent. Okay, the book top tip. If everyone listening to this podcast agreed to take Friday off and read a book to make their business better, which book would you recommend?
So the book I'd like to recommend is a book called The Go-Giver by Bob Berg and John Mann. I don't know if you've ever come across it.
I can almost reach it from where I'm standing right now.
I'm sorry if you've had this as a top tip in the past.
I don't think we have. So please bring it on.
And the reason I love this book, and also I do think it's relevant to what we've been discussing, throughout this podcast so far. So, really, what this book is it's really talking about how, in business, the more you give, the more successful you can be. And it's really about how you can, really help your customers to be as successful as possible. And then, it's a win-win and everyone grows as a result. So I would really, recommend this, for anyone feeling a bit blocked or, struggling to meet any goals, and to really take a different perspective on how you can move forward and bring other people along with you.
Nice. Okay, the traffic top tip. Which marketing method do you either prize above all others or think doesn't get the press it deserves?
So the marketing tip I think doesn't get the press it deserves is doing things that don't scale. So we are an early stage startup, and we're doing really the, marketing methods, which are the sort of heavy lifting, really starting to generate traffic for the business. So, content marketing, building our YouTube channel, webinars, and, really just getting out there, knocking on doors, and, because no one wakes up in the morning thinking about insurance. So it's a good, that's where we're starting.
Cool. I like that. The heavy lifting options, which I think we can get a little bit overly obsessed with our fast track marketing methods that scale. But sometimes the ones which take the manpower, they're the ones that can drive the biggest results. So I really like that tip. Okay, the tool top tip. Maybe a collaboration tool, a social media plugin, a phone app, or just a way of working. Is there a cool little tool you use that makes you and your team more efficient from day to day?
Yes. So, we've been a fully distributed team from day one. So, we're actually even located in different countries at the moment. So the top tip that I would want to give is a tool called Donut Buddies, which is embedded within Slack. And it enables us, it sort of automatically pairs us with other members of the team for a sort of a coffee meeting once a week. So we have the opportunity to interact more socially rather than just, having business meetings all day with each other.
Nice. So kind of like a round robin, who's having coffee with who this week with no agenda for the meeting.
Exactly. Yes.
Cool.
And sometimes it can involve a beer or non-alcoholic beverage of your choice.
I think that's something which even businesses who are all in the same office could probably benefit from. But right, the growth top tip then. If you met someone today who's focused on growing their e-commerce business from 100 orders per month to 1,000, what would be your number one tip for them?
So my number one tip for a business growing that rapidly is to make sure you have the right insurance for your business. So sorry to be banging on back about insurance, but I think it's really important on two fronts to firstly make sure you are fully covered because, with growth comes more risk and more diverse risk, and to ensure that you have the right insurance rated, because some businesses grow that quickly because they maybe expand from one product category to multiple product categories. Have you informed your broker of the change in product category? Because even a change from selling adult bikes to children's bikes has a huge difference from an insurance perspective. So you just need to make sure that you are, ensuring, going back to the liability issues we were talking about before, that your insurance is scaling alongside your business.
I love it, Megan. And I love the fact you brought us back round to insurance, because we alluded to the insurance product, the kind of like the groundbreaking, rule-breaking, changing the way of buying insurance work that you're doing, Anansi, throughout, but we haven't yet really explained it. So could you please tell us how your insurance products work, and then we'll go into where people can find you.
So what we're doing at Anansie is we're building a platform to deliver automated insurance products to e-commerce businesses. So how our platform works is that we are, bringing insurance into the tools which, e-commerce business owners are already using to manage their business. So we're starting with the Shopify platform, and we're adding other platforms, over time, plugins to other platforms over time. And then we're leveraging the data on your business in order to bring you insurance products which are, relevant to your business, and where we automate the claims process as far as possible. And that's really the key differentiator. It's both having a very smooth and frictionless onboarding process and an automation around the claims. So our first product is Of Course Cover, which is a goods in transit product. And essentially how this works is that we track all of your parcels to see which ones are late or lost, entirely during the delivery process. And then when the system detects a late or lost parcel, we then pay back, based on the data, the claim without you having to, fill in any further claims administration or forms. So it really takes a lot of the, admin on your side away, and also gives you just much greater certainty of what you would be able to get as a claim, because we pay the retail value of the cart minus a 15% deductible for the claim.
Wow, so you automatically pay back as well as taking all the hassle out of actually filling in the form in the first place.
Yes, exactly. So, that's the thing. We see the future of insurance to be making it a lot more simple. So bring insurance into where, it would be useful for you to see it, taking away the admin and getting the insurance product, and then automatically paying the claims so that, you don't have to do anything again. Giving, often what you find is, if you have a claim, you're giving the information to the insurance company that they already should have often, or, so it just feels like you're repeating work. Whereas, we're saying, why should you be doing that when the data, often much of this information is already available. We maybe just, in some cases would need to check a few things. And then, there's no reason why, particularly for goods in transit, which is where we're starting, we can't have a fully automated process. And then we'll add other insurance products, the more general insurance products over time. Some of those may not be fully automated, but we're going to try as far as we can with our insurance partners to get as close to that as possible.
Excellent. Well, if people are interested in checking out Off Course, then where do they need to go?
So our website is for the goods in transit product is Off Course Cover, which is www.offcoursecover.com. And that's our product website. Our business website is www.withanansi.com. And that's where you can look at the wider information we have around our platform and our future partnerships and growth.
Okay, so just so everyone's clear out there, we're saying Off Course Cover, which is OFFCOURSECOVER.com.
Yes, that's perfect.
Excellent. Well, there you go, guys. And Megan, are you selling to all countries and covering parcels being delivered to all places, or is this a UK specific one at the moment?
Okay, so we launched in the UK for domestic shipments in October 2020. And by the time you're hearing this, we will be live for international shipments from the UK to Europe. And then beyond that, we will be looking to add other territories, so first within Europe and then US, and also actually in Japan, we have some opportunities that we're exploring at the moment as well. So, my advice to anyone listening to this would be to head over to our website and subscribe to our mailing list so that you're the first to know of when we launch in various territories.
Excellent. Well, look, Megan, thank you for giving us all that information about the product and for creating it as well, because I can see this is going to probably actually lead to some e-commerce businesses getting around to doing their insurance who just haven't quite got around to it because the forms are too intimidating. So thank you for building it. Thank you for coming on and talking about the insurance side of e-commerce. I now have a list of things we should be looking at. And I'm sure a lot of the audience have gone, wow, it's time I chatted to a broker and headed over to Megan's site. So thanks for coming on the show. It's been really, really great chatting with you.
Well, thanks for inviting me, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to your audience, because as you say, most people who are running an e-commerce business don't get up in the morning and think about insurance. But at least this has been an opportunity to find out a little bit more about what the options are and how you can best protect your business, even if it's not us. Maybe at least it sparks some ideas for you to look at in the future anyway.
So there you have it, our little guide to the type of insurance you should be considering if you're in e-commerce. Now, just to remind you, neither Megan nor I were giving you any specific insurance advice there, and we recommend you seek the advice of a specialist, of an expert in the field before you start buying insurance, just to make sure you're getting the insurance that you need. And also, we were talking broadly from the UK perspective with the names of the insurance types and so forth. But of course, You will also find very similar types of insurance wherever you are in the world. Now, to get your hands on the notes from today's show, including Megan's top tips and links to what we've mentioned, then head over to ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast. There you can also add yourself to our email list so you don't miss out on any of the other things I share to help you improve your business. Well, thank you for tuning in to this and every episode of the E-commerce Master Plan podcast. Those of you who've made it this far through an episode about insurance, good on you, because it's a crucial thing. And I think what the Anansi team are doing is going to make your lives a lot easier to organise your insurance. Well, look, as you know, I bring you a new interview every week because I want to inspire and help as many e-commerce business owners as possible to succeed and thrive with their businesses. So please, 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 if you know some other people running a D2C business, a B2B e-commerce business, selling to consumers, let them know about the show because I'd love to help them improve their businesses as well. I hope you have a great week and keep optimizing.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Master Plan podcast. Find out more at ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast.